It's Friday, Feedback Friday, the feedbackiest day of the week. Ha! It's Feedback Friday. And if you notice I'm sitting a little lower than usual, it's because I have a Momo. Momo has wanted a lot of attention lately, right, Momo? Yeah, Momo's on a lot of pills right now, right, buddy? Yeah. Hey, you don't want to be a spectacle? Did I make you mad? You want to go back to sleep? Okay, go back to sleep, Mo. Yes, Mo sleeps like a baby. Yes, he does. There he goes. I'm going to do something a little bit different this week. I know a lot of people are still out because of coronavirus. A lot of people are probably working from home and dealing with their kids and too busy to watch these videos this week. I know other people are just laid off and have tons of time but no money, so I feel kind of weird doing this, but I am expecting to take something of a hit this month for similar reasons. People just can't afford it. But if you can, help support this channel, become a monthly patron, patreon.com/LeannaK. There is also a link to a PayPal address in the description box of this video if you only want to do a one-time thing. It's going to be tough for everybody this month. There will be more announcements maybe next week about some streams that are run by other people that I'm going to be on because of coronavirus. Also, the patrons got the first footage shot of Boss Fight. They got a little bit of a preview this past Thursday. So if you want to see that, if you want to see stuff early, become a patron. Not that this is anyone's biggest priority in these trying times, but I am doing what I can. I'm going to do things a little bit differently this Feedback Friday because I couldn't choose between a lot of the comments on the where does Lara Croft crap video. I just read the comments and laughed. And those are the sorts of comment sections I love. I love when I just say something stupid and you guys riff on it. I will point out Nomad Bunny's comment of, this reminds me how bandits in Skyrim are the only ones that have figured out indoor plumbing. Granted, it's a bucket in the ground, but it's better than literal nothing that my player homes of the rest of Skyrim have. I guess the werewolves in Whiterun don't care about indoor plumbing, but everybody else, yeah, man, step it up. But one person said that there's toilet paper all over Resident Evil 2. I'm just playing the wrong games. One person pointed out that Arve Eriksson said in Planescape Torment there are bandages, so that's a good point. I don't know if the nameless one has to poop, because he just comes back from the dead over and over and over again. But other people pointed out that in games where you eat food and it never comes out, can't unsee now. Comments were very, very funny. But another story broke Thursday. Somebody sent it to me in private messages, and then a whole bunch of people asked me on Twitch, and this is one of these things where it's like, for me, this is why I bow out of comics these days. Because I can't take this sort of stupid crap. What's funny to me about this particular story is no one seems to totally know what to do about it. This Mary Sue article I'm going to use for this is an example of you could practically hear the writer going, not sure what to do. So let's go over to this. You see, the internet is having a mixed reaction to new Warriors characters, Snowflake and Safespace. This is not a joke, or is it? You can kind of see, you got like a Cyclops ripoff, and there's Snowflake. You see the Snowflake, and that I believe is Safespace, though the logo is slightly different. But then you've got Vampire Kid, of course, and then the overweight woman of color, because women of color are the ones that are allowed to be overweight in this day and age, and that still kind of annoys me. But listen to how this article starts, and this is the thing I think is hilarious about this. For the record, I believe this whole thing is a form of very deep satire. There's reasons for this. I will point them out based on this article, but I'm saying from the beginning, the reason I think this is so funny is I think this is all a big joke in one way or another. If it's either going to be like probably the worst comic ever written, or be totally satirical, or be the worst comic ever written because it's satirical, right? Because look at the details on this thing. I don't know why anybody puts this in an article and doesn't go, wait a minute, I might be being had here. Okay? So stop it, ads. Creating new characters is hard, especially when you're trying to add diversity to the medium. Oh, really? There is a segment of the population that will always have some sort of hateration, is that a word, about forced diversity. However, that doesn't mean that there can't be constructive feedback when it comes to how new marginalized characters are designed. When it comes to Snowflake and Safespace, which are the names of two heroes of the upcoming New Warriors comic series, there is a lot to unpack here. You just see the person like coming to their boss and going, I want to be constructive here and totally asking, not telling, you know, like you just said you want to hear new ideas. They're totally tentative because they don't know what to do. Now, here is the point where I'm like, are you fucking shitting me? Why is anyone taking this seriously? Okay. The characters were designed by Luciano Vecchio and created by Daniel Kibblesmith, a writer for The Late Show with Stephen Colbert. You've got one of Stephen Colbert's writers doing this, and you are taking it at all seriously. Now, Kibblesmith has written comics before. Loki, Black Panther versus Deadpool, okay? He is, by all accounts, an ally and someone who has created really thoughtful LGBTQ content. However, this was just a really poor choice because you know that someone who is an ally has to love political correctness, right? They can't just take the piss out of something they overall agree with because people are taking it too seriously. The characters are named Safespace and Snowflake, and they, you know, they're pretty much the go-to for forced diversity. Black, transgender, lesbians. Now, they are genderqueer. They are not lesbian, but it's basically the woke Wonder Twins, okay? But they're not woke. This is a joke. This has gotta be a joke. I mean, right down to the Converse sneakers, okay? This is practically streaming. How do you do, fellow youths? You know? Which I think is, but oh no, the author is an ally and the artist is queer. So they couldn't possibly be making fun of this. Come on. Like, to me, this is why Marvel okayed this series. Because it will cause controversy and will get people talking. And they're due. You know, they need to get back in the headlines because the movies are not just driving constant attention to their comics right now because there's a bit of an ebb in the release schedule. And this is what comic book companies have to do to sell books, or they think they do these days, because sales just slowly ebb away through attrition unless they get a certain amount of earned media. Because, you know, they don't have the money. Comics don't bring in enough profits to do crazy amounts of, you know, paid advertising. So every so often they have to do something like, you know, DC's New 52 or, you know, Rebirth fixing New 52. And that's always the way it goes. You got the thing that fucks everything up in the minds of half the readers that half the other half love. And then you put it back and then the outrage flips and then you do it again every 18 months to 3 years and you keep the churn going. And it's a really unhealthy, toxic relationship with the consumer base. But anybody who reads comics is used to that. I admit, it really put me off. These ongoing, like, stunts. I'll pick up a book every once in a while, but I have a really bad habit of every book I love gets canceled. The book that brought me back into DC Comics after New 52 was just, oh, fuck off with that shit, was the Super Sons. Damian Wayne and Jonathan Kent. Oh my God, they were adorable. Gone so they could do something new with Superman. And I'm like, of course they are. Because everything I love dies in comics. I really loved the whole Elseworlds thing, where you didn't have to have firm continuity. You could just tell a really good story in its own way that didn't affect anything else. It was this tightly bundled thing. But again, an Elseworlds comic that is good doesn't cause people to buy 6 comics they don't want for the 4 they do, so they can read the ongoing story. And that's when I started going, this is bullshit about comics, because I started doing that too often. You had to follow this storyline with every book released for 3 months, or you miss a point and you're like, wait, what's going on? Hated that, right? Couldn't stand that, because then one book was late and then everything all got fucked up. And yeah. But of course, Marvel's last big stunt was the diversity characters, the whole wave, right, of replacing temporarily all the old all the beloved characters with like Lady Thor and so on. And the only one, we were talking about this on Twitch, the only one that really, the only 2 that really survived, Lady Thor, I'd argue, didn't survive because she was a pre-existing character just reused. But Kamala Khan was really the only character to come out of that wave that really stuck with people. But that tends to happen in those big initiatives. I mean, Blackest Night Atrocitus made it into a game. I love Larfleeze, but I think I'm just alone. So there you go. The one character that broke out and did anything from Blackest Night was Atrocitus, the Red Lantern, and what was his cat's name? Dexter? But you know, that's what happens. They create all these new characters and one sticks. But you know, comics have been like that for a really long time, but it was an organic thing. It wasn't, we are doing this whole sweeping thing. They just did it, right? They did it in one book, or they did it in another book. They didn't make it into this outrage bait against their fan base. And I get it. Like I said, they have to get media attention, and enragement is engagement. And if it bleeds, it leads. So this is the most guaranteed way to get attention. But unlike that previous Marvel thing of, oh no, it's not Lady Thor, it's not She-Thor, she is Thor. Like, just don't insult my fucking intelligence, right? Come on. And all the other things where they were saying, nope, this is a permanent change. Never is. Never, ever is. And people got really upset, and I was trying to tell people, don't get upset. This time around, people seem to be cautious, maybe because they remember that. But they're kind of like, what is this thing? And I'm telling you guys, this is a joke. Even if it's not a joke, it's a joke. But my money's on joke, because this is a writer for Stephen Colbert, the guy who lampooned, conservatives for a really long time with a straight face. If you watch Colbert's content, his writing staff has a real love of this kind of stuff. They wouldn't do anything that I think was cynical or BS unless it was for laughs. And then it's not cynical. Then it's satirical. And that's what Colbert did. Like, come on. Come on. It's staring you right there in the face. If it is serious and the guy shit the bed, whatever, but my working theory right now is that this is a joke. It is a deep, prolonged joke. And they are probably sitting back, laughing their demonic little butts off at it is important to have diverse characters and not to be a hater, but I think this was a mistake. The social justice warrior from Lady Bits and Boss Fight could have written this article. And this is what good satire does. It makes people uncomfortable. That's part of it. So, you go, New Warriors. Whatever you're doing it all in, man. Snowflake and Safespace. No one should take that seriously. It's staring you in the face. Do not take this seriously. Also, screw you, anyone who takes this seriously. It's characters named Snowflake and Safespace. If this is truly the brilliant taking the piss that I think it is, this is also a dig at comics as well as outrage culture, okay? Because comics have a terrible history of creating horribly hackneyed characters to appeal to a new woke readership, right? I mean, the example that's often given the most is the fact that during the period where they were starting to get black people in comics, every single one of them had to have black in front of their name. Black Lightning, Black Panther, so on and so forth. That's why, like, Static Shock didn't have black in their name. Like, the exception to that is Storm. But, you know, it's the exception that proves the rule. And it was always just black guy plus gimmick. This is taking the piss out of that as well. The same way, you know, when they made the Super Friends, they needed the Wonder Twins because, you needed kids in a show aimed at kids and stuff like that. The comic book industry has a terrible track record of trying to appeal to young people and just seeming not good at it. Because whenever they start trying to do something cynical like that, it doesn't seem authentic. And the thing that made, like, the greats back in the day, you know, Siegel and Schuster and William Moulton Marston, I always wonder if I invert his name, but the creator of Wonder Woman, and, you know, Stan Lee and Jack Kirby and Steve Ditko and even John Romita Sr., there was an earnestness and an authenticity. They were just telling stories that they thought were fun. And they ended up making stuff that endured the test of time. So I think this is actually quite a literate taking the piss out of both outrage culture and the terrible track record comics have had in attempts to be relevant. And I'm sticking to that theory until it's proven otherwise. All right? All right. Hope you found it amusing. Hope you're kind of like, okay, I know how to process this now. Have a good weekend. Stay healthy. Go outside 6 feet away from somebody at least once this weekend, okay? And help support this channel. Become a monthly patron. Patreon.com/LeannaK. Thanks for watching.